Travis Reier and Charlie Potter of the BamaOnline.com staff. It is Tuesday afternoon and a fallish Tuesday afternoon. Charlie Potter from the University of Alabama campus. And as we come out of Saturday scrimmage and move into the practice week, time to play a little true or false with you at some areas of interest to this team right now. As we start to get closer and closer to Wisconsin preparations, they could begin in the next day or so, start seeing some scout team jerseys out there. But I'll start with the right guard position. True or false, Alphonse Taylor right now is the starter at right guard?
True. And I think, it's been that way for a while, but I mean, he seems to have won over Saban's favor. I mean, Saban was asked specifically about Bradley Bozeman the other day, and he was like, well, hold up, guys, don't count Alphonse Taylor out. And that's been the case for what seems like a couple of seasons now. But it seems that he's taking the reins like some of the quarterbacks should be, I guess. But I would definitely say that as of right now, he'll be the starter on September 5th.
Interesting, because Bradley Bozeman, since the start of spring practice, really is the guy we've seen throughout A-Day and into the fall camp and preseason practices with that first team at right guard. But I'm going to agree with you on the true with Alphonse Taylor right now, and really shouldn't come as a surprise. As you said, he's been in this situation really for the last 2 seasons now. Battled Leon Brown a year ago, so he's proven, I guess, when you talk about competition. How about the left corner spot? True or false? Minkah Fitzpatrick is the starter at left corner.
I'm going to go with false, but that's not to discredit Minkah. I think Minkah plays, I just think in a different position. I believe that Marlon Humphrey will be the starter at left corner. That's been the case for, what has it been, several days?
Yeah, kind of like Taylor.
Yeah.
At guard.
He's coming on strong. A lot of guys today before practice, we talked to Dylan Lee and Chris Black, and they both had, rave reviews of Marlon. So after the spring that he had, bouncing back from that injury that plagued him at the beginning of the fall camp, he seems to be coming into his own.
Yeah, I agree. It looks like he's starting to reach that potential, and I heard great things about his scrimmage on Saturday, especially in man coverage situations, and agree on Fitzpatrick. I think in the nickel right now you would probably see him at star, and the dime you would definitely see him. So really the best of both worlds. If you're a Team Minkah or Team Marlon, you're going to get your wish, I think, both ways on that deal. Let's talk about, quarterback. Quarterback right now, today, Tuesday afternoon, outside Alabama practice. Alec Morris is the starting quarterback at the University of Alabama.
Today I would probably say true, but I also think that he won't be the only quarterback we see in Dallas. Just because, Jake Coker's still there. I mean, I think the coaching staff is trying to give him every opportunity to win the job, even though it sounds like Alec Morris has turned some heads with what he's been able to do in terms of not making mistakes and just, taking control of the huddle. So, I think Morris could definitely be the person we see go out there first, but I don't think he's the only quarterback we see.
Still a little bit of, if you ask me for the initials of this quarterback come October, I'd probably tell you his initials are TBD, to be determined.
Yeah.
I agree. I think right now you have to think it's Alec Morris. Similar to Taylor and Humphrey in that in the last week or so, he's made a bit of a run. He also benefited probably from Coker being out. But when you talk about in terms of consistency, he seems to be the guy that hasn't killed him in scrimmage work or made the big mistakes. And Saban mentioned the word command with him, and that's very important, obviously, at that position.
Well, I will say that Jake Coker still leads the team through drills, and when they break up into lines, he's still in the front of one line with Morris behind him, and then Cornwell's leading the other line. I don't know necessarily what that means. It probably means nothing. They probably change it up as soon as we leave, but that's still the case with Coker out front when we're out there.
True or false, the last one. Who starts at wide receiver against Wisconsin? Specifically, Robert Foster or Calvin Ridley? Calvin Ridley starts against Wisconsin at wide receiver.
I think that's, you said Calvin Ridley?
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley, I think that's false. I think Robert Foster gets the starting nod, but I think Calvin Ridley would definitely play a ton of reps. I think, honestly, right now, if you were to put a first group out there, it would be Robert Foster, Ardarius Stewart, and probably Richard Mullaney.
Yeah.
Just because Chris Black's still nursing an ankle injury. He looks to be fine out there.
Better, yeah.
We spoke to him today, and he said he's coming back fine. But Mullaney has just been the talk of the town basically when it comes to players. You ask them who's standing out in the receiver line, and it's Richard Mullaney. He has obviously D1 experience playing at Oregon State. Comes in with a lot of experience, and I think he would get the starting nod. I think if you were to
wide receivers.
if you were to debate a guy that didn't come into camp as a projected starter, it would be Mullaney to jump into that starting lineup.
And Black's injury has helped him, I think, in some ways. But I agree. I think he's more of a slam dunk to possibly start in the 3 wides at least than maybe even Foster is if they go 2 wides and he's opposite Ardarius Stewart. I agree, though, in whole with your assessment. And Mullaney's been a borderline godsend, not just because he can play, but experienced guy. 3rd and 8 against Wisconsin in a tight game, he's going to want the football. You wonder sometimes. I think Ardarius Stewart's a guy like that, but otherwise, you might be a little bit up in the air about who you want to go to in that situation. So Mullaney has extreme value. That's just about going to do it. Anything else?
No. I mean, aside from that, we saw. I mean, Donovan Jackson was still back out there at right tackle. He didn't miss any time, so that's a good thing. But other than that, nothing new.
So for Charlie Potter, I'm Travis Reier, thanking you for joining us here on Instant Analysis, a part of BamaOnline.com. We'll talk to you again in a couple of days.